Hey Shepherd Youth, it's your girl Noelani, and if we haven't met, it's so nice to meet you. I actually grew up at Shepherd Youth, and so when they asked me to do this week's Motivational Monday, I was super stoked. And first and foremost, I just want to tell you guys have the best team of people who just run your ministry. Man, they love you guys, they pray for you guys, they plan for you guys. And so I just want to encourage you and let you know that, man, you are so loved and so cared for. And even though we're in quarantine and we may not be able to always be with each other physically and in person, don't let that take away from your experience here at Shepherd Youth, because there are so many ways you can still get involved. And I know they would love to connect with you. I was just thinking and reflecting a lot on just these past 6 months, because it's only, well, now I guess it's 7 months, but we're already almost through this year, and it feels like it's been a blur, and it feels like it's actually been really hard when I'm honest with myself. And it feels like there's so many things that have kind of ... feelings that are unfinished and unanswered. And I think that explains a lot of just where our world is at. We don't know what's next on multiple levels. We don't always know the solutions. There are a lot of things that are, you know, just playing out, or we still don't always have the answers. And so it's like we're living in a giant in-between in the world. And I don't know about you, but for me, that's kind of been like shocking to my system and kind of traumatic in some ways of not knowing what to do, because I'm so used to doing things. And I just was thinking, like, man, how can I encourage you guys today? And I know I was talking about like not knowing what to do, and I know I'm not the only one who's been feeling that way. And I guess I just wanted to encourage you today that your voice matters in this season, in these moments where it kind of feels like everything's on pause or things are in slow motion and we don't really know what the next step is or what the solution is or what school's gonna look like or what our lives are gonna look like after this year kind of 2020. And I just wanna take some time to let you guys know that your voice matters and your story matters. And I don't know what's going on exactly in your life, just like you don't know exactly what's going on in mine. But I know who God is, and He never changes. And I think that's why it's so important that if you can find ways to get to know Him in this time, so that He can encourage you and remind you of who you are to Him. I know we won't always have the answers. We don't have the answers, but I think it's gonna bring a lot of peace to your souls. And I just want to let you know that we're all in this together. And so even if you feel just a little bit of angst or anxiety, you're not alone in that either. I actually wrote about it because I was feeling that and posted it, but because it was a way for me to process. But I just want to let you know that you're not alone even in your process of going through all these different emotions, because we're all kind of going through it together. When I reflect on these past 7 months, I can't even explain it. There's been so much change and so many things that I've internalized and continue to have to learn, and I'm sure you guys have too, about what do I believe and why do I believe it and where do we go from here and what are the solutions? How are we a part of the change in racial reconciliation, in just basic relationships in our lives? What do we do? How do I matter now? Like, what's my purpose? I don't really have school. What am I gonna do without my friends? And I feel like these are a lot of things that are kind of going on in our souls. I just wanted to take time and let you know that we are not the first people to ask these questions, to wonder what's next, to wonder what's to come. I mean, I think of Abraham in the Bible, and God makes him a promise, and he takes him out to the stars. And he says, one day, because Abraham and his wife had no children, he said, one day, Abraham, your descendants are gonna be as numerous as the stars in the sky. And multiple times through Genesis, it says that God took Abraham to the stars. And to me, I love that part of the story, because there are times in life, guys, where we can kind of forget about who God truly is. Our emotions cloud our judgment, our circumstances cloud how we see God. But I love how it talks about how God took Abraham in those difficult in-betweens, the years and years it took for him to have a child, that God repeatedly takes him out to the stars to remind him of what he had spoken to him. And I think it's God's way of saying, hey, listen, I haven't forgotten. And even when your circumstances present this way, or even when you feel this way, and even when you don't know what to do, I'm not oblivious. I'm still in this. I think one of the crucial ways, and that also doesn't mean like, okay, you're like, okay, great, Noelani, like, okay, God's in this, but like, how does that affect my day-to-day? And I still think it can greatly affect your day-to-day, even though we're living in in-betweens. For me and my family, a couple of months ago, when the death of George Floyd happened, me and my sisters kind of got together and we were just thinking, what can we do? Like, it's not that we know like who God is and how big he is, but he's also put us here right now. We're not 20 years in the future. We're not 30 years behind. Like, we're right here in 2020. And even though I know like the promises he's made and all those different things I get to look forward to, I'm still here in the present. And how do we create change here in the present? And we thought, what better way than to create a platform, to create a space where we can share each other's stories, because I believe that there is healing, there's relationship, there is respect, and there is understanding that is built when we understand each other's stories. And more often than not, we figure out that we are more similar than we are different. Because that's who God is. There's nothing new under the sun. We are not the first people to struggle with these issues, and we most certainly won't be the last, but how can we be a part of a healing conversation? And that's where Share Our Stories was born. And so now we're on Instagram and Facebook, and basically every week on Wednesdays, we post someone's story. And it's kind of like a 3-minute story, and they have gotten a list of questions and they answer a couple questions and just open our eyes and tell us who they are and kind of what they've experienced and how maybe growing up affected them, or maybe their racial background, maybe it's other things, maybe it's all of the above, but our goal is that we can break down walls so that we can create change and be continuously a part of the reconciliation process, and not just to each other, but I truly believe that we can also be reconciled to God through that, through healing with each other too. But that's kind of all I got for you guys. I just want you guys to know that your story matters. Check us out, reach out to me. If you know of anyone, or maybe you'd like to be featured, like, we're totally down. We want to share everyone's story and not just to bash or push an agenda. That's not our goal. Our goal is for people to walk away feeling loved. Our goal is for people to walk away feeling like their eyes are open or they have greater understanding. Because that's what this life journey is about. Because we're gonna be on this journey together. We're not always gonna be separated, and all those moments while we feel like we're stuck in the waiting or the in-betweens, or when life just seems overwhelming, we still have each other. We still have community, even in quarantine. And I think oftentimes we try to be like, oh man, I'm all alone, or I don't have anyone. But the truth is, go on Instagram, and I don't know how many followers you have, but those people are paying attention to you. And go around to your family and your friends. Like, there are people who care about you and want to have those conversations and want to delve deeper in and gain greater understanding so that we can go along in the process. But I hope that encourages you. I love you guys so much. I just want you to know that God loves you and God's got this, and that you have a voice so unique. And right here, right now, you get to use it. And you get to choose how you get to influence people, and how you get to invest into people, and how you also just get to learn and grow. So I encourage you to take this time to do that. Check us out at Share Our Stories Media on Instagram and Facebook. We'd love for you to just hear some people's stories, and maybe you'll know of someone who would think it'd be super cool too, and maybe that person is you, who eventually maybe want to share their story too. But love you guys so much. Have a great Monday, and I'm praying for you guys.